All right, let's dive right in. Today we're breaking down a really compelling analysis from the Politics Talk channel. It's all about a moment that could completely redefine a presidency, a Senate walkout, but not from the opposition. This was from members of the president's own party. So let's get into what happened and, more importantly, why the analysis says it's such a huge deal. The analysis we're digging into kicks off with this incredibly powerful statement. Right from the get-go, it's framing this walkout not just as some political headache, but as the moment the Republican Party might have actually cracked in two. Keep that idea in your head, because it's the lens for everything that follows. Okay, so first things first, let's look at the event itself. I mean, how on earth did what should have been a standard funding vote turn into a full-blown historic rebellion? So, the scene is set on January 10th, 2026. The Senate is in a classified briefing, and the topic is a recent military raid in Venezuela that was ordered by President Trump. And this briefing, well, this is where it all goes down. And here it is, the number that just stunned Washington: 12. It wasn't one or two disgruntled senators, it was a dozen Republicans who stood up from the president's own party and physically walked out. I mean, in the world of DC politics, that is a massive, massive statement. So what was the fight actually about? $5 billion. That's the emergency funding Trump was asking for to keep the military operations going in Venezuela. But for these senators, this wasn't just about the money. It was about who has the authority to spend it. And here you can see the direct result of that walkout. The final vote to block the funding was 52 to 48. Think about that. By joining with the Democrats, those 12 Republicans were the ones who tipped the scales. This wasn't just for show. They actually changed the outcome. So why? Why take such a huge risk? Well, the analysis says it came down to a core set of principles. The senators were arguing that this was way beyond party loyalty. For them, it was a stand against what they saw as an illegal military action, one that led to civilian deaths and was a clear overreach of presidential power. Now, this is where the story gets even bigger. According to the source, this one event didn't just stop a funding bill. It ripped the curtain back on a massive fracture that was already growing inside the Republican Party. So now you have these two very clear camps. On one side are the dissenters, well-known senators like Tom Tillis and Lisa Murkowski, and they're basically saying the Constitution comes before the party. And on the other side, you've got the loyalists, who see this as an absolute betrayal of the president and the country. And the president's response? Well, it was exactly what you'd expect, fast and furious. The analysis says he immediately went on social media, calling them rhino traitors, Republican in name only, and said they betrayed America. He even promised to back primary challengers to get them out of office. But here's a really key point the analysis makes. While all that rhetoric is flying, the political damage is already done. The funding is gone. That very public split has already happened, and no amount of angry posts can undo that legislative defeat. This walkout didn't happen in a vacuum. The source connects it to this perfect storm of other crises all hitting the administration at the same time. It really creates this sense of a presidency that's just under siege. For starters, there are reportedly active talks, led by Vice President Vance, of all people, about using the 25th Amendment. We're talking about the constitutional process for removing a president. I mean, that's a direct challenge coming from inside his own cabinet. And at the exact same time, you've got articles of impeachment just waiting in the wings over in the House. So that's another massive constitutional threat, this one from Congress. And on top of all that, the source points out that the president is facing serious legal pressure from the courts, even the possibility of being forced to testify under oath. It's like he's being squeezed from every single direction. And all this chaos in Washington, it's absolutely showing up in the polls. A Gallup poll mentioned in the analysis put Trump's approval rating at just 41%. So the pressure isn't just from politicians, it's coming from the American public too. So where does this all lead? What are the long-term consequences? Well, the source argues that this one moment could fundamentally reshape American politics for years to come. The analysis lays out this political trap that Republicans now find themselves in heading into the 2026 midterms. If they stick with Trump, they risk losing in the general election because of his low approval numbers. But if they oppose him, they risk getting wiped out in a primary by his loyal base. There's just no easy way out. And you know how important language is in politics, right? Well, check out the term that opponents are reportedly using for this: Insurrection 2.0.
It's a direct and very powerful comparison to the events of January 6th, and it's designed to frame this as another fundamental threat to the democratic process.
So what's the bottom line here, legislatively speaking? The analysis concludes that Trump is now, for all intents and purposes, a lame duck president. With his own party fractured like this, his ability to get any major legislation passed is probably gone. His agenda is pretty much dead in the water. So finally, where do we go from here? The analysis ends by making some predictions for the near future. And honestly, it paints a pretty grim picture of a presidency that's just spiraling downward. The thinking here is that this isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of things speeding up. This walkout gives the House more fuel for impeachment. It gives the cabinet more ammo for a 25th Amendment push. And as Trump gets more isolated, each crisis just feeds the next one, creating this dangerous tipping point. The source's final word on it is that his presidency is in mortal danger.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question posed by this entire analysis. When you have support collapsing in Congress, in your own cabinet, and with the public, is this the moment the dam finally breaks? Is this the point where a presidency simply can't function anymore? It's a question that could define the next chapter of American history.